So today I'm gonna can up some chicken stock out of things I had in the freezer, and it's super easy.
Well, hi guys, welcome back to Linda's Pantry. And today, as you see in the title, we are canning. I'm canning chicken stock today. So I cooked down a bunch of chicken and I saved all the stock off of it. This one, I added some herbs to it. That's why it looks darker. But I'm gonna defat these and I'm gonna can it up. The only thing is, because I've got the dried herbs in here, there's thyme, rosemary, a little bit of sage. This really has that, you know, the winter and fall flavors to it. It'll be diluted with the rest of this, but each jar, and I'm doing this in quarts, each jar is gonna have a bay leaf, and it's totally safe to can with herbs. It's totally safe to add those flavorings without changing the acidity. We are gonna be pressure canning, and we're gonna be pressure canning with 4 jars lids. So 4 jars lids for the win. Thank you, 4 jars, for always being there for us. These are fantastic lids. The price point is spot on. The product is superior. These rings are from 4 jars and they've got more metal on them. I've had these through the dishwasher a couple times just to test. There's no corrosion on the inside or the outside at all. So they really can be that engagement ring for your canning jars. But I don't store any of my canning with the lids on. The only time I put a lid on is when I'm gift giving or I'm traveling. The ring on, not the lid, but the ring. So I'm gonna get busy defatting this. I'm gonna get it on the stove, heat it up. My jars are in hot water in the sink, and my canner is over there with 3 inches of water. Literally 2 tablespoons of vinegar is all you need to keep from getting that buildup on your jars that make them cloudy looking, the mineral deposits. So let's get to defatting, and I can bring you along for some of that, and we'll get to chicken stock for the pantry for the fall and winter, early winter months. I'll be doing this again as soon as I have turkey that I can cook down and make turkey stock, which is my absolute favorite. All right, come on in. So first thing I'm gonna do is to defat is I'm gonna line this bowl, my bowl, with some foil. I do this with bacon fat. Anytime I've got too much bacon fat and I need to get rid of some, I'll go ahead and do that. But this, then you've got a nice little pouch that your fat can stay in, and you can get rid of it. Now you can save this chicken fat and cook with it. I can make biscuits with it. This is sat in that refrigerator out in the garage for a couple days here. Oh, and the stock itself, I'll bring you in. It's like gelatin. It is very good. Oh, I cannot wait for you to see that. Okay, get your fat in here. This would make a really good chicken biscuits. Use the fat for to make some biscuits with it. And I might just do that. Or you can just toss it, however you want to do it. Chicken fat. A little bit of it is fine. I don't mind if there's a little in there, but let's give you a look. That's all gelatin. See how gelatin, that's what you want, because that's got all the collagen and everything that is super important for healthy bones and joints. And this one over here is the one with the herbs. It's not quite as pretty, but we're gonna get that fat off there as well. And the dried herbs in here, I absolutely love thyme with chicken, and so I had to do a concentrated version. So now that's had a chance to sit, and it's also gelatin here. I don't know, can you see it wiggling around here? It's just like Jell-O. Oh my goodness. Okay. So now I've got a way to get rid of that. All right. Yeah, again, it's just all Jell-O. And that's really the sign of a good stock. That means she had enough bones. I had bones from the freezer. I've been cleaning out my freezer, and bones from the freezer, and actually cooked down a whole chicken for the dogs and pieced that out and put that in containers for later on. Anyway, here we go. It's going in the pan. I'm going to heat it up and we're going to get ready to can. So now it's time to get canning. These jars have been sitting in the sink with hot water. My hot water. So in each jar, I'm putting a nice big fat bay leaf. I love bay, and it will not hurt a thing. So the stock heated up. I should have 7 quarts, but if I don't, that's fine. It's pretty concentrated, so you could actually, when you open a jar, dilute this down. The jars are hot, so the glass has been tempered with heat for the canner. The canner is sitting at about 180 degrees, ready for hot jars. Hot water in the canner. And you see a few of the little herbs from the herbed broth. And there shouldn't be much fat to these. You want 1 inch of headspace is all. And now we can go to the second jar. These are hot, so be really careful. But look how pretty that broth is. It's gonna be great to have on the shelf. Whew, hot, hot, hot. Okay, grab a lid. Now I do soak the lids according to 4 jars recommendations. They say to soak your lids in hot water, so I do. Some of the other manufacturers don't have you do that. And once in a while, you get a, ow, it's really hot. Let's try a different one. Once in a while, you'll get a ring that just doesn't want to go on quite the way you hope, just like that. Just fingertip tight, and into the canner it goes to wait for the rest of the broth. So, doesn't that look beautiful? Okay. In the canner it goes, and I've got the stove off now, only because I'm canning, so I don't need it. The water is definitely hot. Those jars are hot. We're good to go. And I'm just gonna rinse and repeat, hopefully till I get 7 jars available.
So I hope you don't mind. I'm just going to talk through this. So I'm filling the jars with the hot broth, wiping the rims, getting my flats in place, and putting the rings on fingertip tight. Over to the canner they go to wait for the rest of the jars. And it's just a rinse and repeat procedure. Super important, though, that you do everything the same. I like to do 1 jar at a time and not do several, because then I don't typically miss a step, but it's pretty easy to miss a step. Here, I had to leave the room for a minute, and I'll be back to finish. There we go. And we're gonna get, I did get 7 quarts minus literally maybe a 1/4 of a cup of broth was left, but I show you that at the end there. Measuring my headspace to make sure my eye is what I think it is. You know, we even those of us that have been doing it a long time need to double check what we're doing to make sure we're safe and our families are safe with what we're putting on the shelf. So I'll continue this fast forward and I'll be back with the rest of the story.
So I just wanted to show you guys. Literally, there's maybe a quarter of a cup of broth. That was lucky. Okay, so all the jars are in the canner. I'm gonna put the lid down, tighten my thumb screws up across from each other so the lid will level off. And then once it comes up and starts venting out of the petcock, I will let it vent for 10 full minutes. That's part of your timing. Don't cut that little step out. It's part of the process. And then after it's vented for 10 minutes, I'll put my 10-pound weight on, and that's per my altitude. Look up your altitude if you're not sure, and Google will help you do that. And then the National Center for Home Food Preservation has all the instructions, but literally this is out of a ball book. Once it comes up to pressure, then I'm gonna start the timing. I'm gonna time it for 25 minutes for quarts. For pints, it would be 20 minutes. So we'll see you after that's all done, and I'm taking it out of the canner. Okay, so the canning pot has come down off of pressure. I've let it sit here. If you watch me at all, you know that I let it really come down on its own and sit here and cool down. It's so hot that if you don't and you pull your jars out too soon, you risk siphoning. And you know, I work too hard making the stock and canning it up to want a bunch of siphoning. And they do recommend with broths that you do that anyway. So here's the beautiful golden chicken broth, and you can see the bay leaves down there, and it's so delicious. So 7 quarts of broth. These lids are already sealed, I can tell, because they've got a pretty good dimple on them. It's a button top lid with 4 jars, and I can tell that all of them have sealed. So I'm just gonna pull these all out. My water is clear. I've got my 1-inch headspace that I started with, which is awesome. So I hope this inspires you to try your hand at home canning. Put some broth on the shelf. Chicken broth, really good chicken broth, is expensive in the store. It's pretty easy to use 1 or 2 quarts in a big pot of soup or a casserole. And if you've got the chicken parts and pieces that you've saved in the freezer for broth, well, you've got all the makings of a nice, good chicken stock for the pantry. All right. So, as I said, I hope it inspires you. I can't wait to see you next time, hopefully using a jar of this in a recipe for you. And let me know the last time you canned stock and what kind was it. Did you do vegetable, beef, chicken, or turkey? Turkey's my favorite, so we'll be doing that pretty soon because Thanksgiving's around the corner. All right, see you next time.
So I hope you enjoyed how I canned up some chicken stock that I made out of stuff in the freezer.